Why does the SACP regret supporting Jacob Zuma to become ANC president? And why is Mapaila taking legal steps against President Zuma on his cabinet reshuffle? Why did the SACP not invite Zuma to address their Congress? And why is the SACP still debating the possibility of contesting elections independently 10 years later? What time is it? It's question time. Hotzong and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Tsedu. The 14th Congress of the South African Communist Party ended on Saturday, and it saw Zuma retaining his General Secretary position. Mapaila took over from Jeremy Cronin as first Deputy Secretary General. Cronin declined to stand for re-election after serving the party for the past 23 years. Reports say it took a lot of effort to convince Soli to accept nomination after threatening to withdraw his name from nomination for any position. Outstanding from the event, though, was a resolution by the Communist Party to contest future elections outside the tripartite alliance. While analysts criticized the SACP for failing to be clear on this matter, Nzimane says the decision to contest the 2019 elections will be taken after the party has done some groundwork. Meanwhile, Mapaila has revealed that he is taking legal action against Jacob Zuma for his cabinet reshuffle earlier this year. In another development, Mapaila says the SACP regrets having supported Zuma to become president of the ANC in 2007. We are live. If you can call us and air your views, the numbers to dial 089-1104-210, our international number, +2789-1104-210, our Twitter handle @QuestionTime24. My guest, Mapaila. He is the first Deputy General Secretary of the South African Communist Party. But before we get into the show, let's take a look at what SACP General Secretary had to say.
We may or may not contest separately in the context of a reconfigured alliance. That is why we are talking of a roadmap, which also will be informed by the kinds of engagements that we have. So, allied formations contesting elections independently does not necessarily make an opposition.
Well, that was the GS himself, Zuma there. And in studio, Mapaila is with me. Well, congratulations on your election. Your election that almost didn't happen.
Thank you, Mpho, and Khotswayat.
Yeah. Well, what was new that came out of this conference? I mean, Floyd and Holomisa actually went into some old resolutions of the party and said, look, verbatim, nothing new here.
There's a lot of new things. You mean specifically on the resolution to contest elections?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has new issues. Fundamentally is that it assessed the resolution of 2007 and its implementation. The mechanism that we used at that time, we chose one modality, which was to contest elections under a reconfigured alliance, and in which we would have a possibility for accountability of SACP members to the SACP, and also participate in the development of election manifestos together with the ANC. All that happened, the development of manifesto, we've been doing it together as an alliance. We created a mechanism for members of our Central Committee to account to the Communist Party, and they've been doing that throughout the term of the 13th Congress Central Committee, and even previously, where all of them who are deployed in government will be requested to come and present the Central Committee where we engage with them about what they've been doing and what we think they need to be emphasizing on, of which, of course, they will take it back to the ANC and emphasize those policy options that would have engaged them with. And then the process of reconfiguring the alliance was done with the introduction of the Alliance Political Council. And that mechanism of the Alliance Political Council functioned for some time, possibly at best maybe 3 years. And it did have some good results at some point. For instance, through our influence in the alliance, working together with COSATU, the ANC and SANCO, were able to put together the 5 key priorities of government, which were largely about social services.
Okay.
These were part and parcel of the core of our program. Therefore, we were succeeding in fulfilling that mandate without necessarily going to modality number 2, which was to stand on our own on the elections ballot.
Okay. But one would say you are not such good friends, the Communist Party, because you put somebody into office and then a few years down the line you say we regret. How do we know that the current one that you are punting you're not going to regret in a few years to come? Why do you regret having campaigned for Jacob Zuma? I mean, today, after having fought so much with other comrades in the alliance to ensure that Jacob Zuma is elected president of the ANC, you, Solly Mapaila, wants to get the same Jacob Zuma arrested.
Mpho, it's a few things. One is that we're a party of principle. We're not in the alliance with the ANC with individuals. We're in alliance with the principles of the ANC, and this is what has gelled us together. So if those principles are violated by leaders of the movement, we'll differ with them, whether we agree with, whether we supported them or not. But it's also important to clarify that we never openly declared that our support for President Zuma. In fact, we wrote a letter, a message to ANC conference delegates in 2007, asking them to elect a leadership that will have a change of heart on how it handles and work with the alliance, or a complete change of leadership. So that message was a message preceded by, of course, public programs where President Zuma participated in some of our activities, and those of COSATU.
Yeah, you gave him the platform.
Yes, we gave him the platform, largely because at that time we saw him as somebody who was victimized. But we have since learned that he likes being to act as a victim, and he abuses that particular process. And of course, it's within his legal rights as a citizen to take the legal recourse to its last possibility. And he has been doing that exceedingly quite well. So having violated what we think are basic principles of the organization, and we felt that we regretted that particular position. But you will notice that despite us having supported him, in 2010, and I think we realized this thing was getting a little bit out of hand, we launched a massive campaign against corruption as the South African Communist Party.
Yes.
And in that campaign, we did pay dearly. We had lost some of the outstanding cadres of the Communist Party who were at the front line of this particular campaign. Bomba Nchangasi, Comrade Musala, Comrade Parkwe, Mos Parkwe in Northwest, and Bomba and Musala in Mpumalanga. And many of our activists were attacked and so forth. We had to get security for several of our provincial secretaries who have been threatened for leading campaigns against corruption. So at that time, we also thought that he will get the message. And 2 years later, we started having discussions with him about the role of the Guptas and their abuse of his name across government parastatals as they seek to capture the procurement purse of the state-owned enterprises and begin to influence big tenders and so forth towards their own companies. And we felt that the hijack of state-owned enterprises, it's a huge disservice to us, because at the Mangaung conference, we adopted a program for a second, more radical phase of our transition, for which we said the economic component of that program becomes the main program of the second, more radical phase. Now, the instruments we have to deepen that and to make sure that that second, more radical socio-economic transformation takes place, it's our state-owned enterprises. And when the state-owned enterprises, they've been hijacked, by a grouping of individuals, it can't serve that particular purpose. It's a hollow thing that you say. For instance, the academics report commissioned, who worked closely with the South African Council of Churches, have shown us that at best, the state-owned enterprises have about 212 billion in procurement possibilities, for which majority of which has been controlled by the groups outside of government. Okay. And we have raised these matters with President Zuma, and that's when our relationship began to go down.
Nathan.
Hi, Mpho, how are you?
I'm well, thanks for holding on.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Mpho, firstly, I want to congratulate the SACP for taking the step, man.
Yes.
Because Zuma is a thief. Oh. And he captured the ANC, you see.
Okay.
He don't think about the poorest of the poor because he thinks the ANC belongs to him. Okay. And I want to say to the SACP that they must go and stand on their own in 2019 because the ANC is afraid of them. That's why they get a lot of threats, you know.
Okay.
And the Gupta thing, they must take it forward. And that reshuffling in the night of the cabinet. Zuma is a thief because thieves is working in the night. Thank you, Mpho.
Thanks very much, Nathan. Well, he just raised a point which I want us to talk about. You want, I don't know, okay, what do you want to happen to President Zuma? Because you're saying you were lied to. It seems there's quite a lot of people who were lied to. We are finding out in the past 7 days. You were lied to about the reshuffle, or the reasons for the reshuffle. So what should happen now? It has happened.
Well, of course, it doesn't make it right that it has happened. Of course, it has happened. There are new ministers. But the bottom line that it doesn't make it right in the manner that it happened. You'll know that 3 of the ANC top officials, the Deputy President, the Secretary General, the Treasurer General, came out to say they were not consulted on this matter. Yeah. And I think that's one of the main reasons why it should not happen if the President of the ANC thinks that he can act alone outside the mandate of his own organization. He didn't run independent elections. We ran elections collectively in the alliance for him to become president, and therefore he can't take individual decisions. He has the privilege to be the president of the country, to exercise that mandate through the constitution, but in consultation with his own party, because here in this country we run party political system, we don't run presidential system. If he wants to be president on his own, he should have done that on his own. Then we will not care to worry about how he appoints his cabinet.
Betty, you are in Newcastle.
Yes, Mpho. You know, Mpho, yes. It is painful, Mpho, to hear a comrade like Songli speaking like this, you see. One, our country has more challenges than Jacob Zuma. First of all, a problem with the Reserve Bank. The Mapaila never uttered a word about it. Two, there was a revelation that the treasury is being corrupt.
Yes.
And so it never utters a word. So now it seems as if Mapaila is a stand out outright, you see, because he has no agenda about how to put our country forward. Thank you.
Okay, Peggy, there in Newcastle. Well, I'll give you an opportunity to respond.
Well, that's not true. We have condemned all forms of corruption. As I say, we have campaigned on the corruption front massively for over a year. We led campaigns, big marches, more than 60,000 of our march, first time in KwaZulu-Natal. Many people attended. That was before even COSATU established Corruption Watch. And I think that to be accused that we have not been in the front line of fighting against corruption is quite disingenuous. And in any case, this question that he's raising, if I understand it very well, is the one that came out post the removal of Pravin Gordhan as Minister of Finance and Mcebisi Jonas to try and tarnish the image of that department led by the Bell Pottinger Group, which has now apologized to the people of South Africa.
So, Jacob Zuma, okay, you want him arrested, I suppose. Is that how bad things are?
Well, look, I would have wanted to focus more on the outcomes of our Congress than to discuss the legal matters, because that matter is possibly will be in the court process.
No, you can just confirm it and then we'll leave it.
If it goes to the court process,
okay.
Yes, of course, if he has done gross things, wrong things, definitely the law must take its course. We'll support that move against anyone else who does wrong things or break the law in South Africa. But what we have done is not to take it to the police, was to take it to the Inspector General of Intelligence to clarify our stance, because we had written as a Communist Party to the Inspector General of Intelligence to ask him to investigate the truthfulness and the origin of the intelligence report that finally ultimately was used by President to remove the Minister of Finance and his deputy.
Okay, one last question about President Zuma. I assure you this will be the last one. Why didn't you want him to address your Congress?
Well, we felt that he will not be accorded the common courtesy, the appropriate common courtesy that we give to all our alliance leaders when they come to our meeting, or all the people that we invite to our meetings, largely because the South African Communist Party Politburo and its Central Committee, as well as the Federation, COSATU, have taken a decision that independently of each other, that he must step down as President of the Republic, because of the level that we have lost faith in him to be the leader of our society.
Okay. Darius, you are in Pretoria.
Hello.
Hi.
Good, man. I just want to ask comrades on the question there.
Go ahead.
Yes, I want to know why presently they want to endorse Cyril Ramaphosa as the current president, whereas Cyril is we had him as someone who's almost a liberal or an imperialist. Okay. So why the Communist Party don't choose somebody who's like, for example, Comrade Hadeb is a communist. Why don't they endorse their own as the president?
Darius, thank you very much for that question. Indeed, why are you not opting for a fellow communist, and you are instead going for Cyril Ramaphosa, who is not a communist?
You know, I think, I don't know how we can explain this thing on many occasions, because people continue to say we have supported a particular candidate in the ANC, and now we understand that a grouping, what we have characterized as the Premier League grouping, has been trying to pose this question all the time, so that when we respond, which is an official response, we indicate that we don't necessarily support a particular candidate, and they go and campaign using the fact that even the communists don't support him, as if we support the other. We support no single candidate in the ANC. We want the ANC to have freedom to elect its own leaders, to elect whoever, and after they've done that, as long as those people qualifies according to the criteria of the ANC, they are honest comrades, they are comrades that can account, they can lead collectively, they've got sense of revolutionary morality and revolutionary discipline. If they qualify and they've the necessary experience in the movement, we will support anyone that the ANC elects. We don't
but
choose.
You're not telling the truth. You were in Rustenburg when your provincial secretary stood up and said, if Nkosazana Zuma is the Premier League candidate, therefore Cyril Ramaphosa is our candidate, and we are not apologetic about it.
Exactly on the same platform when I spoke, I called him to order. The same platform.
Itumeleng, you are in Pretoria. Welcome.
Yes, thank you, Mpho. I want to ask whether do politics even are they still relevant in our country? Do we still have political parties or political liberations? I want to hear from Solid. Do we still have a party that can grow the economy of this country, ensure that the people of this country become one? They don't see each other as a race, but as South Africans who wants to grow this economy. Because SACP and they're killing each other all over. You know, they have just problems. I don't know, but we still have those parties, like the 1980s, 70s, 60s parties. Thank you.
Well, Itumeleng, before you go, I know that Soli is going to say, yes, the ANC is. So give him another point there.
Okay, another point is, I think SACP, they're saying a lot, but they're saying nothing. And I think they're doing a lot and they're doing nothing. We want to see the ministers, when it comes no vote of confidence. I whether those ministers, because the ANC, they are saying those ministers must vote according to the ANC. So solely, they did not call Jacob Zuma. So if they did not call Jacob Zuma, what did they instruct their members to how to vote? Thank you very much.
A very good one there. Yes. Yeah. How are communists going to vote come the motion of no confidence?
First thing is that the opposition parties have made it clear that this mission, it's a mission not just against President Zuma, but against the ANC. They want to remove the ANC from power. We are in power through the ANC ourselves, so they want to remove us from office, the opposition parties, and we can't be party to that. That is why we have said this program that we have taken, including to call President Zuma to order and to call for him to resign, is not an anti-ANC move. It's a move that strengthens the ANC itself. So the party, the Communist Party, has no ministers. The Communist Party has no members of parliament. The ANC does have members of parliament, which is deployed as ministers. We may be having ministers who are members of the Communist Party, but when they go to parliament, they carry the mandate and they are under the discipline of the African National Congress. Okay. So that's a matter that is left to the African National Congress. Of course, from our point of view is that the ANC should have acted long before this motion is brought to parliament to remove President Zuma from office for surrounding himself with a coterie of individuals who have captured our national sovereignty, who have captured our state, who have compromised the national democratic revolution and are largely corrupt. Okay. Even if they may try and do it in a legal form.
Francois, you're in the Eastern Cape. Welcome.
Good evening, Mpho. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thanks for the call, Francois.
Thank you, man. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Mpho, your initial caller who called last week echoed my sentiment that it's about time that the SABC actually extend your time slot, man.
Oh.
Because this show, it's so critical, we need it, man. But in any case, Mpho, you know, I'd like to ask Mr. Mapaila there one question.
Yeah.
Had the SACP known, you know, then when they actually entered into the tripartite alliance, would they still done that what they know today? What is happening, and why didn't they pull out the first time when, you know, there was this saga of Nkandla? Now, what would they do now? Why don't they actually, you know, cut ranks with the ANC?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Well, obviously, I think there will always be problems in any organization. Internally in the Communist Party, there will be problems. In the ANC, in the alliance as a whole, there will be problems. And you don't pull out every time there's a problem. But there's a particular level that you can take. And that's why, for instance, we have now drawn the line, particularly when it comes to the protection of our constitution, the protection of our democracy, the selling out of the soul of our revolutionary movement, leading to the people now questioning our credentials collectively as a movement, largely because of the misconduct of one individual. Not that is the totality of the problems that we have. So that's why we felt that we needed to draw the line and take strong action.
So as we close, do you have hope that President Zuma will be removed come next month, the motion of no confidence?
Well, I wish it could happen. That's my personal wish. The SACP's wish, of course, we are not in charge of parliament. We would have wished that the ANC would have removed him. It will be quite unfortunate if he survived, but as I indicated, there's a bigger issue here, that there's an entire program to remove the ANC from power. Okay. We are part and parcel of the ANC, and we think many people gave their lives for this revolution, and therefore we can't just be reckless about it. We need to strengthen this revolution. We need to save this revolution. But one action of doing that is to remove President Zuma as President of the Republic so that the ANC can have the possibility to renew itself effectively.
Do you believe the Gupta emails?
Yes, of course, they've not been denied largely, and I think there's correlation of their emails and what has been happening in government, which is quite disgusting. In fact, even just this question of the emails alone could have prompted an urgent meeting of the alliance, which could have actually led to the president to take responsibility and resign, and those who are affected to be actually removed from their responsibilities.
Well, Mapaila, thank you very much. I know you're very tired, but we thank you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you very much.
That was Mapaila, the first Deputy General Secretary of the South African Communist Party. And that was question time for today. A big thank you to my guests and you for watching the show. From me and the crew, I'm Mpho Tsedu.